It is time for another best of 3 series in StarCraft 2, and what I got for you today is a professional series of Protoss versus Protoss. Spawning in game number 1 here in the bottom left corner, he's got a barcode nickname, but we have none other than Neeb. And his opponent, spawning in a cross position and playing in red, we have none other than the Protoss powerhouse, known by the nickname of Zest. Now, of course, both of these players are extremely well known. Neeb, probably one of the very best, if not the very best non-Korean player right now in StarCraft 2. The guy is an absolute force to be reckoned with, and while there are most definitely a bunch of non-Koreans that have been participating in the higher level tournaments, Neeb has always been doing very well. I mean, last year, of course, he ended up winning the Caspa Cup, which I did not expect at the time whatsoever, and ever since then, the man has been on my radar. He's an extremely high-level Protoss player, but at the same time, of course, Zest has been around for quite a bit of time as well. Now, a cheeky little probe actually making its way out of that main base. Proxima Station, of course, a bit of a weird map because of that in-base expansion. Players, generally speaking, don't open up with that double gateway play, but instead decide to go for that, you know, high ground advantage, and usually you can hold on quite comfortably and go for a quick expansion here with that ramp leading down towards the low ground. You can defend reasonably easy, but Zest is going to be able to start zapping away right here at that pylon, and I assume that in the meantime here on the other side of the map we see the exact same thing happening right here for Neeb. Now, interestingly enough, right, while both players do indeed get their assimilators up, both of them in the main base right now, we do see that cheeky little probe here on the left-hand side of the map, and I think that Zest may be looking to proxy a building. He's gonna indeed build up a pylon at the very least. More often than not, this is gonna be a proxy StarGate, so Zest is looking to get rather aggressive here. That does mean that he will have to delay his Nexus, but the question is, how well will Neeb end up responding? Zealot is being forced right now out of that gateway here from the player in yellow. The same is happening right now for Zest. Of course, he does have the chance to go for a Stalker here very shortly as well. But the question is, I don't think that Zest is going to go for a Mothership, but instead he will decide to go for a quick Stargate instead. And the question is, how well will Neeb be able to respond against this? Because, of course, he is already putting down that Nexus on the low ground right now in the in-base expansion. Now, Zealots actually do end up getting cancelled right there, I think, for both of the players indeed. This pylon, though, is actually starting to run very, very low. We do see the Stargate now also going down here on the left-hand side of the map, so indeed it's going to be a proxy Oracle kind of play. But Zest, I think he will be able to just barely, in the nick of time, pick off that probe before it gets any kind of confirmation about the lack of the Nexus there inside of Zest's base. Mothership core out right now, of course. It did shoo away at the very least one of these units, and I actually am a little bit worried right there. Oof. Whew, just barely in the nick of time right there. I don't think he got the vision right there on those probes moving out across the map. Just barely in the nick of time does get the Mothership core out of there, and that's actually a pretty big deal because he's got to be able to confirm that there is a Nexus. I think that he's going to get a Nexus at the very least. It makes sense. Yeah, there we go. I was going to say he's saving up a lot of resources, but there is going to be a Nexus down here, but it's going to be very, very late. We do, of course, see that Oracle being chrono boosted out right now for Zest. There should be Stalkers out. Yeah, I was going to say, I did see 2 Stalkers on the production tab right there. Neeb is going to be capable of getting some Stalkers out. He needs at least about 2 or 3 to comfortably deal with the Oracle. And very shortly, now that the Mothership core is actually flying all the way around, I quite like that cheeky little move there. Beautiful early game here by Neeb. Now that the Mothership core is making its way around, he's going to be able to confirm that indeed this base is very, very late. And it actually does look like he may be looking to go after a couple of probes here in the main base as well. At the same time, though, the Oracle has arrived. And Oracles, they deal so much damage in a short amount of time. While there are a couple of Stalkers available, they are, of course, rather tanky units. And actually, oh my god, so many units are still end up getting killed right there. Beautiful move here by Zest, playing quite a predictable strategy. And while the Mothership core will be forced back home right now as well, and actually it does look like it ended up getting killed right there by maybe one of these Stalkers. A little bit sloppy right there, while I guess Neeb was busy defending at home. These Oracles are still dealing a lot of damage. Second one coming in right now. Looks like that one will be defended right here much more cleanly than the first, but already a lot of damage was dealt, and eventually we do see that nice follow-up here from Zest. He's gonna be able to get a lot of workers out, and at this point it's 30 Harvesters versus 25 in favor of the red Protoss. What exactly is going to be the follow-up right here from Zest? Looks like he's adding on more and more gateways, as well as that Blink Stalker upgrade. I wonder exactly what he's got in store right here, though, because Neeb, of course, is looking to play a bit more of a macro-focused strategy. He's getting that Twilight Council as well. He's going to be able to shoo away these units here. Photon Overcharge does get forced, but once again, the Oracles are going to be able to make their way towards that natural, pick up more and more workers. One of them does end up getting killed as well, but in total, I mean, so many workers ended up getting, oh my god, look at that, 14 workers in total ended up going down there in favor of two Oracles only. And that, of course, will give Zest here a huge early game lead. He's going to be able to push this forward as well with a Nexus on the low ground, not really taking any unnecessary risks, just simply chrono boosting out more and more workers, getting his Mothership Core here eventually as well. And I'm not going to lie, I love this setup right here from Zest. That early game Stargate did not get found, and it just simply ended up dealing so much damage, even though technically speaking, Neeb had the defenses for it. All things considered, that did not quite go in his favor. And this Oracle is not done just yet. I mean, there's Stalkers in the mineral lines right now. The main base, however, still rather exposed. Another kill does get picked up there. A second probe also ends up falling. And this is starting to be very, very problematic right now for our yellow Protoss here. I mean, Zest, look at that army supply count already. He's ahead in the army supply. He is ahead in the worker count. And he is ahead in the amount of bases that he's got right now as well. Now, one thing that, the one thing that Neeb does have going for him is indeed that tech. He does have the robotics, but since this is a best of 3 series, I think it's better to just simply get on out of there if you recognize that this is going to be a lost cause. We'll have to see whether or not Neeb can bring it back. Game number 1 going heavily in favor right there of Zest, and while he did go for a bit of a cheesy build, he obviously had to take a bit of a risk anyway to obtain an advantage, right, on a map as strange as Proxima Station LE. Now, it's kind of weird though. I did feel like Neeb had the defenses ready to stop that Oracle from dealing as much damage as it did, but I guess the fact that the Mothership Core was all the way across the map, and while it did confirm that the natural was late, it didn't really gain any additional information right there. And against like that proxy Stargate, I mean, he should have tried to scout maybe for the pylon to go up before sending the Mothership Core straight across. But regardless, because of that proxy Stargate dealing so much damage, it's just nearly impossible to come back when you are that far behind an economy. And Zest, I mean, he was just pushing that advantage absolutely brilliantly. Anyway, game number 2 right here is gonna be on Abyssal Reef Valley, and of course Neeb is in the bottom right hand side of the map, and in the top left we have none other than Zest. Now, this map right here is a little bit more standard. The double gateway opener, of course, generally speaking, a lot more common here. There, indeed, we do see the double gateway go down right now as well. Actually, no, I was going to say only for Zest, but as well as right here for Neeb. Also, putting down that second gateway, and that really allows you to go either for 2 Adepts into 2 Stalkers, or, sometimes 4 Stalkers, or sometimes even more, to really allow yourself to get that big economic lead out, and at the very least, also be able to defend all different kinds of aggression from your opponent. Cybernetics Core does go down here, and so far, I mean, I love this. Protoss versus Protoss, most of the early game, you can just simply cast right here from the production tab, while both players are trying to, like, saturate their gases. They're making sure that they get maximum income right here on minerals, and I wouldn't be surprised if after, a little bit of Stalker versus Adept harassment, we see 2 Nexuses, or Nexi, I guess. I guess the plural of Nexus would be Nexi, going down right here as well. Double gateways did just finish up. Cybernetics Course just about to finish up here as well for both of these players. So we'll see what both of them are going for. Warp gates immediately started up as well as 2 Adepts right here for Zest. Whereas meanwhile on the other side of the map, we don't actually see any kind of units just yet here for Neeb. And he's actually looking like he may be trying to get a natural expansion up first. Of course, Abyssal Reef Valley, and actually, interestingly enough, the double Adepts do get countered or cancelled right there as well, and Nexus goes down instead, yeah. On this map, of course, you've got this nice little ramp right here that you can defend from quite nicely. Plus, on top of that, if you put up a pylon right over here, you can photon overcharge this entire area and really prevent your opponent from dealing any kind of real damage. Stargate going down right now for Neeb as well, whereas on the other side of the map, we don't see any tech just yet. Zest is just simply following this up with a bunch of Stalkers, and he's now also got his tech of choice going up, and he is indeed going for that Twilight Council. So we see a bit of a clash between 2 build orders. The funny thing is that both of these builds sort of like counter each other, making it very difficult to, do any damage, and it really all comes down to control. Now, really nice little scout right there from Zest will confirm that indeed there is a Nexus going down, where of course that was already confirmed right here by Neeb a little bit earlier with his scouting probe. Zest following is up with more and more Stalkers right now as well, actually, and he's going to start rallying workers towards that natural mineral line, really trying to get as many probes out as he can to build up that economy, whereas Zest is starting up the Blink upgrade, and we see the Oracle going down here for Neeb. I thought for a second that Zest was actually sending his Stalkers across, and that would be a pretty big deal. Of course, you want to try and, you know, be safe against any kind of potential Oracles that may make its way towards your base, but you got to be very careful just in case an Oracle does get built. Pylon already in the middle of that mineral line right here for Zest. He's going to be able to off-vote and overcharge any of these three. That triangular formation right here is basically perfect against any kind of early game Oracle or Ras, but it does require Zest here to be in a perfect position. Mothership, however, the Mothership core, of course, will be able to vote and overcharge any of these pylons and probably prevent us from really dealing any kind of damage here whatsoever. 4 Stalkers in the natural, vote and overcharges in the main. I highly doubt that this Oracle will be able to deal a whole lot of damage. It may try and get back in to force another vote and overcharge, but for now, it looks like that may not be the case. At the same time, 2 Adepts were warped in here on the other side of the map. We do see a second Oracle joining in here as well. 2 Adepts, however, shading into the main base. That Mothership core is not actually in a correct position, and this is going to hurt quite a bit. A couple of probes will indeed end up taking a bunch of damage right there, and so far, Zest has done a great job at defending against all of this aggression. I mean, oh man, that Mothership core should have been rallying inside of the main base right there. Of course, it is a little tricky to try and force that to happen. Now, also the shade towards that natural, and while a couple of probes do get killed by those Oracles, in total, I don't think it really counts against what these 2 Adepts are accomplishing so far. 8 workers, 9 workers already killed, and they're not done just yet, although eventually it does look like a Void Ray is out, and it will force these units to get on out of there with both of their lives back to ire. Zest, however, once again picking up that really nice early game lead. I mean, we see a very, like, similar game as we did in game number 1 right here. Of course, this is a best of 3 series, though, so Neeb needs to make sure that he doesn't GG out right now, because that would be the game, that would be the series end right now, but there's no denying that the player in red has currently got a very nice lead. Both of the Oracles are still alive. That is a big deal. He's going to be able to revelate and reveal this army for a very long amount of time, making sure that they keep exact track of where these Stalkers are located. And with some of them moving out, you may be able to try and get back in there to potentially continue harassing that mineral line. But Zest not really taking any unnecessary risks. Of course, these Stalkers do have Blink. He's going to be able to just simply get them out of there with relative ease if he so decides to choose. Neeb now also, of course, getting his own units out. He's going up to that Immortal tech, a really important tech to get because they're extremely good against the Stalkers. Oracle's still flying around, trying to do whatever damage they can, and I actually think that one of them may end up dying. Just in the nick of time right there, it does get picked off, and while a couple of Stalkers right here are still poking towards that natural, really what they are achieving is that there is no third Nexus up just yet here for the yellow Protoss, whereas Zest did just end up securing his own. Zest going up to that Templar Archives, going up towards the charge upgrade as well, really, you know, pushing his advantage forward, not really taking any risks, not going for a 2-base follow-up to really take any unnecessary damage here, but instead, he's just pushing his economic advantage and just building up a stronger and stronger force. Tried to pick off right there on that probe. Probe does indeed just barely build up to that Nexus, and of course at this point, I mean, if he would attempt to go for a 2-base push, there's going to be plenty of defenses right here. It's pretty much all of these units that that Neeb has got do deal bonus damage against armored. Stalker's just playing Ring Around the Rosie, though. It looked like for a second they were trying to get back into that natural once again as well. Mothership core is going to be just fine, however, and of course there is going to be more and more Immortals out here as well to really make this a very, very tough fight to take. Oracle's revealing most of that main base, and actually the Photon Overcharge does get forced right there. Blinks on out of there with 2 probe kills under his belt, and really, I think that Zest is just trying to contain the Protoss opponent right now. He's trying to make sure that Neeb does not move out across the map. And all things considered, I mean, while this Phoenix will indeed confirm exactly what is going on, the supply counts are once again in favor right here of Neeb. Even a 4th Nexus now gets taken by Zest, recognizing that he's more than likely not going to be able to close out the game right now. I love this little mind game here. Very uncommon to go for such a quick 4th, but in the end it is a little bit safer if you could pick off that oh man, that's a big deal actually, because at this point, of course, the yellow Protoss doesn't have any information about the 3rd base, and while you can make the assumption that the 3rd is up, the 4th base is going to be catching him off guard. And while Zest is making a very standardly timed move out right now, from 3 bases, right? Instead, this is going to be a 4-base push where he can just simply get on out of there with relative ease, because the majority of these units are extremely fast, and really what is going to catch up to Blink Stalkers at this point in the game. StarGate's now also being added on right here for Zest, and I love the way that he's approaching this so far. Very, very nicely done. Of course, there's a lot of Immortals out right now. There's a whole bunch of Void Rays as well, and they're going to be able to shut this army down with relative ease. A full wall of now also at the top of that ramp right here for Neeb, so I think he will prevent most of the units from really dealing any kind of damage here whatsoever. But at this point, there's no blink available for the yellow Protoss, and that makes this very tricky. There's going to be a Disruptor out, however, and of course, these Disruptors are very important. Nice little bit of Blink Stalker micro right there. Will pick up a pylon kill, but it does look like for the time being Zest will be forced back home. Now the question is, what exactly is he planning to go for with this many Stargates? I mean, there is 4 of them in total. That is absolutely insane. I think that he's planning to just go heavily in the, you know, Void Ray production and eventually into carriers as well. And he's, you know, he's just scouted it. Neeb, that is. Neeb just scouted that all of these Stargates are indeed down, and while he's adding on one of them himself as well, and he's going up to that 2 Stargate army, I think that he's gonna have to try and at the very least prevent this from dealing a whole lot of damage. Now at the same time, if Neeb were to move out right now, Zest is gonna have his number, because there's gonna be a ton of units warped in from this warp prism as well. And at this point indeed, we do see a fleet beacon going down right here for Neeb, as well as that 3rd Stargate. So it looks like we may be in a situation right here where it's gonna be, well, quite a lot of air units versus quite a lot of air units. The Golden Armada versus the Golden Armada. 5th base being taken by Zest. Both players showing a huge amount of respect here, though. Knowing that, you know, their opponent is good enough at defense to not really be able to obtain the victory right now. Both of them are just simply trying to secure more and more, you know, leads, I suppose, when it comes to the economy, instead of just simply trying to go for the kill. And while most of the Protoss army will indeed be, you know, at the 4th base here ready to defend, he's also doing a great job at defending the main base right now with a handful of Void Rays as well as a Photon Overcharge. And once again, a couple of probes end up getting killed, but at this point in the game, it is far less important, because there are 4 Nexuses out, or 4 Nexi out, I guess, to just continue building up that probe count. Neeb making his first real move across the map right there, but it does look like he's going to be forced back here for the time being. We do see a mothership now also in production actually here for the yellow Protoss. Where is that mothership? Where is that mothership core? Oh, it's right there in the main base. I actually didn't even spot it right there, even though it was in the middle of my monitor. Regardless, though, Neeb going straight up into that mothership, as well as that carrier production. And we all know the strength of the Golden Armada, right? Once a lot of Protoss units come out, a lot of these air units start joining the battle, it becomes an extremely scary engagement. Zest now finally also adding on his own fleet beacon. So far, he's really just been focusing on primarily all of these Void Rays. And of course, Void Rays, they deal a ton of damage to armored units, which is really the majority of Neeb's army so far. He's going to be capable of dealing quite a bit of damage right here. And the question is, will Blink Stalkers be enough? He's going to try and force most of these yellow Protoss units out of position right now, whereas the majority of this Protoss force will also be moving onwards right here, with all of these Void Rays in the air towards the 4th base location, while trying to pull this Protoss player thin, right? Zest making a brilliant move right here, not only buying enough time here to get his 5th base up and running, he's pressuring his opponent to prevent Neeb from really making a move out. When these main armies clash, it's going to be interesting, but Zest is close to maxing out right now, and I think that he may be trying to go for a bit of a move in right now, indeed forcing these armies to split off with a brilliant move here with both the Stalkers as well as most of the rest of those air units. But the thing is, there's a mothership core, or there's a mothership out right now, so indeed most of these units will get cloaked, and I don't actually know if there are any observers out right now for the player in red. There's a single one here. It's actually floating around right here on the left hand side of this army, but regardless, the Stalkers will be traded off right now, because at this point they do become far less important. Huge target fire right there on that Nexus, trying to get the kill on it. However, the Void Rays are moving onwards, so trying to go for as much damage as they can. Prismatic alignment now also being activated, and so many of these air units end up getting killed, and Zest, playing an absolutely incredible Protoss versus Protoss, ends up taking this best of 3 series in a 2-0 fashion. I hope you enjoyed watching these games. If you did, make sure you hit that like button down below, and if you want to see more, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get a notification as soon as I upload more. And other than that, I want to thank you for watching. Have an amazing day. Do not forget to smile, alright? And I will see you in the next one.